Hey everyone, it's Alexander Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and this is my review for MaXXXine, starring Mia Goth, written and directed by Ty West, and is the supposed final movie in the X trilogy, with the first two movies coming out in 2022. The movie takes place about a decade after the events of X, where Maxine Minx, played again by Mia Goth, has escaped that what can only be described as one fucked up horror picture, and has moved out to Los Angeles. She has now made it big in the porn industry and is one of the top stars in that area. However, she does have a desire to break into the mainstream and become a legitimate actor, and she does this by booking a role in a big horror series. Unfortunately, as this is going on, several people that she is familiar with, who are also actresses as well, are being killed off one after another, and there's a suspicion that Maxine is connected to all of these murders. This was easily one of my most anticipated movies of the year because I am a huge fan of the previous two films. X, which came out in March of 2022, was a great throwback to the grungy, grimy exploitation horror movies of the 1970s, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But much like Texas Chainsaw, it's better than most of those movies that came out at the time, and the characters are actually a lot more defined and likable than in most other slasher movies. And then in September of 2022, we got Pearl, which I think is an infinitely better movie, and Mia Goth, I still think was robbed of Best Actress. I'm dead serious on that. If it wasn't for the Academy's stuffy nose when it comes to horror movies, I guarantee you she would have been in the same conversation as all the other Best Actress nominees. But whatever, that's in the past. What's done is done. The point is, I love both these movies, and both of them ended up on my Best of the Year list in 2022. So when we come to MaXXXine, it very much is the case of the third movie is the weakest of the bunch, but I still really liked it. First of all, I love how each of these movies are tonally different from one another, because X was a slasher movie, Pearl was a psychological horror movie about a character losing her mind, and MaXXXine is marketed as a slasher movie, but it's actually not a slasher movie at all. There's a body count, but it's more a neo-noir murder mystery movie. I don't feel that comfortable classifying this movie as a horror film, but I guess the reason everyone did that is because the first two movies were horror, the main actress breaks into a horror movie, so there are definitely some elements in it, but I would say this is more in line with neo-noir films. I love the look of this movie, the way Los Angeles looks very grimy. I mean, I wasn't alive in the 80s, but it certainly doesn't look all that glamorous. And it also brought in a lot of the social commentary that was going on within Hollywood and the horror genre, where there were a lot of different politicians and people who were protesting against horror movies and trying to tone them down. If you follow up on the history of the Friday the 13th series and see why movies like Jason Lives, The New Blood, and Jason Takes Manhattan were pretty much neutered compared to the first couple of movies. This is why, because there was a lot of that going on, and that social commentary actually plays into the film's plot. I won't say much beyond that, but when you see scenes of people like protesting horror movies, or politicians trying to pass regulations on the amount of gore movies can show, it all feeds into the plot of this film. Now, the movie has a stacked cast. Obviously, Mia Goth comes back as Maxine Minx, and much like with the last two movies, she commands this film. She is, for lack of a better phrase, a star. She's absolutely wonderful. I like how Maxine's experience from X really does play into her life in Los Angeles. And there's one scene in particular that got a huge reaction from the crowd and made me go, yeah, considering what this character went through in X, it makes total sense that she would do something like that. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You also have great actors like Michelle Monaghan and Bobby Cannavale as detectives. Elizabeth Debicki has a great role in this. Lily Collins, for the little time she's in, is good. Kevin Bacon is having an absolute blast in this role, and he is loving every second he's on screen. And then as for Giancarlo Esposito, he's good as he always is, but I also like that he's not playing the same villainous, one step ahead of the hero hero character that he usually plays, like in Breaking Bad or The Mandalorian. Even though I made the argument that this really isn't a slasher movie, it does have a body count, there are some kills, and some great gore effects. That if you saw X and Pearl, you won't be disappointed by the quality of the gore in this movie. Where I think this movie falters, and why I don't think it's as good as X or Pearl, is in pretty much the ending. Now, I think the movie overall is very satisfying, but the way the movie ends, it feels very rushed. There's a pivotal moment near the climax of the movie, and then we just suddenly have a jump cut. We get the impression that everything is fine, and we don't really get that much clarity in terms of what exactly happened. How did we go from here to here? So that was very disappointing, whereas I thought X was a lot tighter in terms of a movie, and the same goes for Pearl. Another small issue I had with this movie is that I didn't think there was that much of a mystery. Now, this is not the movie's fault, because this is the only route that it could go once it establishes its mystery, but you know exactly what's going to happen from the minute the movie starts. Again, that's not the movie's fault, because it's the only logical way it has to go. And then one tiny nitpick I have with this movie, and this is something that nobody will even care about unless you live in Los Angeles and work in the film industry, but there's a scene in the movie where Elizabeth Debicki's character meets up with MaXXXine, and this sequence is filmed on the Warner Brothers lot. Elizabeth Debicki, who plays the director of the movie that MaXXXine is starring in, asks her to hop on her golf cart and drive around the lot. So the director picks up MaXXXine on the Warner Brothers lot, but then the very next cut, they're on the Universal lot. It's not really a criticism at all, and right off the bat, I mentioned that it's a nitpick. I just found that to be a really funny detail, that they started off at the Warner Brothers lot and then drove that little golf cart all the way to the Universal lot, which is technically across the street, so not that much of a trek. But anyway, despite those criticisms and that really stupid nitpick, admittedly, I really enjoyed MaXXXine. I think the cast is great. Mia Goth once again brings the goods, and she is fantastic. The gore is great. Even though I knew what the mystery was from the beginning of the movie, I was invested in how it was going to resolve itself and how it was going to play out. So again, I don't like this as much as I do X and Pearl, but I'm going to give it the same rating that I gave those movies, worth seeing in your lifetime. I don't see this movie making it to my best of the year list, but it's still very good and very entertaining at the end of the day. And there you go, that's my review for MaXXXine. I hope you enjoyed it, and before I go, I'm going to give a special thank you to my YouTube members right here. If you want to help support the channel even further, you can sign up for YouTube memberships, and right now you get early access to all of my videos, but at the end of the month, I'm going to start making videos exclusive for YouTube members, and you can join for as little as $1.99 a month. That's right, $1.99 a month, and you also get your name listed in the credits here with these people. So again, thank you to my members right here. I hope you all consider joining in the future. But until next time, I want to know what you guys think about MaXXXine. Whatever your opinions are, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. If you want to find me elsewhere on the internet, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and my theme park and travel channel right here on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.